Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bikinis After Babies. Thank you so much for joining us today. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Mandy Rochon, here with your other beautiful blonde host, Gillian Hughes. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm so excited to catch up with you guys today and talk about some good questions that we've had
Mm-hmm.
for our September Q&A. But first, we're going to do a little recap of what we've been up to. Mandy, what's been going on with you?
Yeah, girl, just busy mom life. No, but this week was really good, just back at the gym, lifting. And of course, this weekend I got to see you and the other coaches. So Friday, I got to drive to St. Louis and have a good back day workout with you, Jillian. That was super fun, just getting out of your element and getting to a new gym and being able to work out with a buddy because I always work out by myself. So being able to work out with you and like that extra push and girl time, it was really fun. But dinner was great, seeing you and the other coaches was super fun. But after that, I just came home over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and really just relaxed. I got house stuff done. I cleaned out my closet for fall, yard work. And,
Hmm.
my boys, they got motorcycles, so they're out doing motorcycle dirt bike things. And I'm
That's
just
nice,
home
though.
relaxing.
You get the house to
It
yourself while they go do guy things.
Mm-hmm. It was really cute. So Sunday, Aaron was like, I'm just gonna go on a little ride. And I was like, that's fine. It was like 11, I think. And I had yard work I wanted to do anyway. So I'm like, that's fine. He texts me and he's like, hey, one of our buddies like wants to go up to this like dirt bike track, like, or we're just gonna go for the afternoon. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And he didn't come home till like 5 or 6. And I was like, it was just so, like, I love my husband. We spend so much time together, but it was so peaceful just to, you
Hmm.
know, good weather, get some things done, and just like I prepped all my food, laundry, hang out with the dogs, like just chill. So it's
Yeah,
nice. It was really
nice.
nice. What about you? How have you been?
Oh, good. Well, we had our dinner was super fun on Friday
Mm-hmm.
night. That was just a good time to get everyone together. I've been looking forward to that for a while and just celebrate, our team. And of course, like I've been in business for like 15 years now. And then I had
That's
Coach
great.
Melissa joined like 3 years ago. And then the rest of you girls joined like in the last 2 years. So we've all been together for almost 2 years together, and it was just nice to celebrate that. And everyone's so busy, like even like thinking about planning another get together in the next couple months, it's like going to be impossible, just trying to get everyone's like schedules in line. And so yeah, it was just a really good chance to see everybody, and dinner was amazing. And then we just had like a bunch of like just, sports and stuff on the weekend. And then our last like pool day for the summer. And then we went to a movie. And then my husband and I went on a little, just like a drive yesterday. We like to like take the doors off the Jeep and just, but it's like kind of scary. Like always feel like I'm like, oh, what if I like drop my phone out the door? Like, cause you're like driving on the highway at
Oh,
like 70 miles an hour with no doors, and we had the top open. It was super windy. So, but it was nice. It was a really good day for it. And we went out to like this little winery, um, and just did that. It was nice. So it was good. Yeah. And I took my rest day on Saturday,
fun.
which I'm still like, I'm almost on the end of like my reverse. I mean, I probably have a few more weeks technically because my show was the 22nd of July and now it's September 3rd that we're recording this. So, but I feel like I've, kind of gone through the brain fog's gotten better, energy levels are up, food's up, cardio's down. And so now like the last step is like going down to 5 training days, which I don't like to do it. I don't like to take 2 days back to back like that on the weekend. I like to have them split up during the week because I really feel like, midweek it's good to have a rest day for me. And then if I
Yeah.
take a second one, I'll take it during the weekend. But I did take two last week and it felt good. So yeah, just adjusting
Yeah.
to that and like trying to sort of set my sights on what next year looks like, because there was a big announcement last week which was really exciting and like really changed the game for a lot of us masters pros, I believe. So I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to say what that was or you want me to carry on
I think you
jabbing.
should. You should have the honors.
So they made the official announcement about the Masters Olympia, and it's going to take place next summer, so August 2025, and it's going to be in Tokyo,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy. That is on the other side of the world. I already looked at how long it takes to get there. It's a 17-hour journey to get there. So, but that is exciting, but they've changed the qualification system for the Masters Olympia. And in the year prior, the 2023, when they had it, it was in Romania and it was like an application process. So kind of like the Arnold, you had to like send in an application with some written stuff about, your history and whatnot, just like, highlighting what would make you a good competitor and a good candidate to be featured on that stage. And they only took 20 bikini athletes, and it was over 40. So it could be over 50 as well, but you couldn't be 35, 36, 37. You had to be over 40. And so now this year, they changed it, and the criteria to get in is you have to have won a Masters Pro 40 show since August of 2023 all the way up to August 2025. So there's 2 years, because there aren't as many Masters Pro shows as there are Open Pro shows. But you have to win the 40. It's not the 35, which they don't have a lot of 35s, but the 50 or the 60, like you have to win the 40. And then in some of the other categories, because there's 8 categories, there's 4 categories that additionally you can apply and do the application process. I think one of them is like women's physique, and I can't remember what the other ones are. But yeah, so that is interesting because when the Masters Olympia happened last summer, it was so exciting. I watched everything. I watched all the girls competing. I was like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing to do that one day. But I knew the application process was going to probably be sometime over Christmas time this year. And I haven't even done a pro show yet. So I was like, I won't make the criteria to I wouldn't even bother applying because I haven't even competed as a pro yet. Like there's going to be like thousands of girls that are going to want to do this. So, that's fine. I'll just shoot for 2027. But now that it's set up this way and you could, do a show in the spring and win and get into the Masters Olympia, now it's like a whole different ball game. Now I don't even know what I'm going to do. So that's kind of
It's
what's been like,
exciting.
that's like in the front of my brain right now is just like, is that something that we really want to do? Like it's at the end of summer, it's going to make it hard for our family to take a vacation. I'd have to qualify first. I've never competed as a pro. I don't know what I'm going to be up against. So it just gives me a lot of excitement, a lot to think about, and for a lot of Masters pros, it's kind of like, wow, like this is, a lot of them were qualified, didn't even know they would be, right? Like a few of the girls, like April Conley's qualified.
Right? The ones that already won.
Yep. Yeah. And if you were top 5 at the Masters Olympia in 2023, you're automatically qualified. So, so there's 5 ladies that are already in. So that's really cool. It's exciting. I wonder how many people will qualify. I wonder how many people will actually make the trip, because it's a big trip. It's an expensive trip. It's far.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Like it's not like going, to Texas. Like it's a different
Las
country.
Vegas.
Yeah, it's traveling to a foreign country, which is something that I've not done in my competition career. And that is something that I want to do. I do want to travel overseas and compete. I do want to go up to Canada and compete. So I just wasn't thinking Tokyo would be on the map, but yeah, so I don't know. We're going to see how the next like really 3 months goes into 4 months, September, October, November, December, 4 months. And then January, just kind of see where I'm at and then make a plan from there. So I don't know.
I feel like that's a good game plan, though. Give you time.
Yeah.
Give you time to digest the information, thought process, see your kids' schedule, see how everything kind of goes. Because that always plays a role. Like you said, family, vacation, trips, budgeting. There's so much stuff that goes. It doesn't go above doing that, but it goes into like the thought process of making it like tangible, being able to do that, So, but God, it'd be so fucking exciting.
It would be so
exciting.
cool. And I when it first came out, like I remember like sending it to Brian, and I thought he'd be like, oh, that's a little far, but he's like, so we're going to Tokyo? I was like, what? And it turns out it's like one of the top 5 places that he's always wanted to travel to. And I was like, I didn't know that. I guess we probably never just had that conversation.
It's a sign.
So I don't know if it's a sign. It's, but it just makes it a little bit tricky with like, we have so many cheer trips, and then there's a lot of bodybuilding shows that we're taking our team to next year. And it is like a little bit tricky to coach and compete on the same weekend as your athletes. Obviously I'm not going to be competing against them, but, and that has always been something I didn't want to do. But, just even like the focus I always feel like should be on my athletes. And I don't want to be like at a show, like, I'm competing, they're competing. Like, although that would be really fun, I still just think that just takes away from their day. So I don't know how that will work either, because we'd wanted to take a team up to Clash or Girl Power. And those are two shows that I could do to qualify. So I don't know. I have a lot of thinking to do. I sat the other day by the pool and was like kind of looking at the schedule. And there's no
it's
schedule. So it's kind of like I'm kind of going off of dates from like 2024, but they could be totally different next year. So you can't plan anything, which drives someone like me absolutely crazy because I like to have a plan. I like to know what I'm doing. I have a countdown. I have a million lists. It's just I need to know. I need to know what I'm doing with my life. So this is like limbo. But in the meantime, I'm going to make the fucking most of my time. I'm going to build. I'm going to have a really good off season. And then we're just going to see what happens. Who knows? Stay tuned.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of building, stay tuned. But speaking of building, I had a fantastic leg day yesterday. I did hamstrings and glutes, and it was the first time I was able to use our hip thrust. We have a machine thing, but it's the first time I've been able to do that since June. And for one, I am sore. Yes, I am very sore. And going back to how you said taking 2 days off in a row, actually this week will be my very first week where I'm taking Wednesday off and then like one of the weekend. Like I'm actually separating my rest days because I'm very sore, but I was so much stronger than I had anticipated. Like I was totally okay realizing like, okay, this will take me a minute to kind of get back into it. Nope. My body was like, put another plate. Hey, put another plate.
Yes.
So I was actually very proud of myself.
That's
and it was
so awesome.
good. I was like, yes.
That's so awesome. I bet that felt really good. I
stretched like crazy. Oh, it did. I love lifting legs. I love growing my legs. It's so weird because I know like the food that I eat and the more calories, I just like want to push in my legs.
Yes.
So it was good. It was like a good Labor Day.
Awesome. I love it. That's so good. I mean, training lower body as like a bikini athlete is like, it's the holy grail. Like I even said to you like, oh, I guess we can train back. Like I didn't want to train like lower body when we were in town because I knew that we were just trying to be really careful. But my gym has some like good leg equipment, but we had a good back day. So I'm trying to like embrace it. I'm trying to enjoy upper body, but like my upper body, like I never get the feedback that I need to grow it. So I'm just kind of like, we're just staying where we're at. It's just not as exciting, but, my leg days, are just all I think about and I get right into it. And then I get like pissed off if I have a bad leg day or like somebody ruins my leg day or like I forget my headphones. I'm like, oh, like this meant so much to me, but that's the bikini girl life, I guess. So
yeah. I thank God I never forget my headphones anymore. Just the way like how organized I am. Like there's times where my son will be like, hey, can I borrow your headphones? And I'm like, really? Are you sure? Like, can you put them right back when you're done using them? He's thank God good about it, but yeah, I'm hopefully over. I'm gonna knock on wood because watch me forget my headphones for some reson this week.
Or you leave them on the charger or something, and you forget to put them in your backpack, like or something like that happens. I've had that where like I was using them for work, and then I get all the way to the gym, and I'm like, oh, they're on my desk. Oh my God, I forgot them. But I mean, my gym plays music, but.
Yeah, I feel like if I used my gym headphones I only use them for the gym. That's probably why. Because like I have these headphones and then like I have my office, I'll play music, but like my headphones are just for the gym. And then when I charge them, I have a charger in my car. So that's probably why I just have it set up to where like they never leave like my bag or my car. But...
Do you leave your gym bag in the car then? Is that what you do? Is that like you just leave all your stuff in the car?
It's right here.
Oh, okay. So you have enough drive time that you can charge. No, my gym bag comes
inside because then I empty it.
Okay.
Yeah, I love my headphones, my Beats. So, but yeah. Okay. Gym headphone ramble.
Well, today we're going to do a compilation of some questions that we've gotten from our Instagrams and then also like from clients. Like we have a lot of new competitors that just joined Team Momshell that are going to be
Hmm.
doing shows like in the spring. And so we just kind of compiled some great questions that we'd like to answer on the podcast for you guys. So where do you want to start, Mandy?
Um, I think a good place to start would be getting back on track after you cheated on your plan because it was a holiday.
Yes.
So this is very common. It's here I will say here in our country, like celebrate everything with food,
Hmm.
living, breathing, births, death celebrations. Everything is with food. So it is always, we just got done celebrating Labor Day. So of course there was barbecues, get-togethers, potlucks. There was all this food around everywhere. And it's like, what do you do when you're surrounded by all of this food and you end up slipping up on your diet? And this is something, both you and I hear from our clients. We'll get messages saying like, I feel so bad about myself. I can't believe I did this. Like, what do I do? People's knee jerk reaction is, of course, to like, oh, I need to hop on the cardio machine right now, or I need to like not eat for the rest of the day. It's always very extreme. And that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. If you cheated and you slipped up and you ate something you shouldn't have and you spiked your calories and you probably feel mentally and physically probably like shit, right now it's just drink a bunch of water. If you don't have the ability to, if you're not going to the gym that day, it is what it is. Pick yourself up tomorrow and don't do it again. Get right back on your plan. Use the extra calories, have a good lift day, and stick to your plan and communicate with your coach. That is really the things you need to do.
Yeah, well, I deal with this a lot, like on the lifestyle side of the company too, like in just working with ladies who like struggle with emotional eating. And I think like, having dealt with it myself, like there is a lot of like guilt and shame around it. But if somebody is like, if I'm starting to see like a trend where a client that I have that's in a calorie deficit is having, every weekend they're slipping up on their plan, or the holidays roll around and they can't control themselves. I kind of like I talk to them about like what's like going on. Like, are you physically hungry, or do you feel like you're missing out because you can't have the food that everyone else is having, or did you just like not prepare yourself and you didn't bring some food? So like I kind of just talked to them about like what's going on and what they were feeling, because there's so much that goes into making the decision to cheat on your diet. Like by the time somebody has decided to do a show, they've probably told people about it. They've invested in a coach. They're going to the gym. They're putting in the work. They're seeing progress. Like to cheat on your diet is not like it's not like you're just being irresponsible. Like there's something going on usually, right? And I think if somebody is open and honest with me and tells me that that happened, like I just try to like break it down and go like, okay, like did you fly through the day and miss, some protein? Like can we prepare a little bit better for these events by like making sure that you have a meal before you go to like a party where there's going to be a lot of food there? Is there something that you can bring that you can share with others that is like healthy, and is not going to help, like you're not going to deviate from your plan? And I think those are just new tools that maybe a new competitor might need that they don't have. Because I think that if there's a lot of guilt and shame, or if the coach makes them feel really bad about it, then they're going to like hide it and they're going to have
Yeah.
more guilt, and then it's going to
Hmm.
cause more issues. Or they might be able to like get through their whole prep. As soon as the prep's over, it's a danger zone. Like then all the wheels come off and then they kind of go crazy. So I feel like it's just really important to address the behavior and kind of start there. And I think like we say enough shitty things to ourselves when we do something like that. Like, oh God, like I have no willpower. I'm so weak. I'm so mad at myself. Like you don't need like your coach to like scold you for it.
Yeah.
But rather like, let's just find some strategies that can help you. So, I mean, and then I think you're spot on. Like the last thing you want to do is like like stop eating and do tons of cardio and starve yourself to make up for it. And people will ask me that. They'll be like, so should I just like double up on my cardio and eat no carbs the rest of the week? I'm like, no, because then you're going to binge again when the weekend rolls around. Like that's the worst thing to do, you know? So it's a tricky thing in our sport. And it's not because of bodybuilding. Anyone in a diet phase, I have clients who have never stepped on stage that are doing a lifestyle
Yeah.
program that, you know, they get on the other side of it and they're in maintenance and they're having these issues. It's anytime anybody's in a calorie deficit, it's not just bodybuilding, you know. So
Yeah, I had one of my clients. I loved this. Like, she's a newer client. She's a competitor. She can't wait to step on stage, but she messaged me through the weekend and was like, "Hey, like you said, I communicated with my family. I let them know what was going on, what they're doing, because they're all coming in town for the weekend." And she said, you know, they're happy, they're super supportive, but she had no idea it'd be hard to be around all of that. She didn't realize it was going to be that hard to be around all of that food. She mentally, you know, going into the situation of the holidays and being around all the alcohol and, you know, and it's not like you're around it for an hour. It's usually the day when it's a holiday. And she's just like, I don't know, like, I don't want to slip up. I don't want to do this. Like, what do I do? And of course, like her and I talked back and forth, you know, you just have to prepare for it. You have to strategize for it. You have to think like you said, do you feel like you're missing out? Well, just remind yourself that there's always holidays. There's always food. I always like to tell my clients, remember, food is readily available on DoorDash. You can get it every second of every day of anything you possibly want. So mind yourself that. Also, is there a possibility, like depending what the food is, could you make a substitution? Could you like participate in some like vegetables, some protein and sub some things out? Like maybe you can do that. So there's a lot there. It's just a lot about communication. It is willpower. And like you don't build like perfection of these habits overnight. Like it takes time. I can't tell you how many times I've slipped up and binged on like some snacky snack food because like somebody made homemade something that looked good and I just like overate and I'm like, oh shit, like and I've had a shitty coach beat me up for it and I did not want to tell them anything. Like I've been on both sides of that and you definitely don't want to be there. You don't deserve to be there. Like you made a mistake. It's okay. You strategize and keep going. So I definitely think that's a perfect one for the first one to touch on with the holiday.
well, and I think that can like segue into like another question that we get often is how do you go on dates or what are some date ideas for when you're in prep? This is a good one.
This is cute.
I feel like this is right up your alley.
Well,
for
you
sure.
and I both are married, so like Aaron and I we try to make it super cute. Like it is. So my husband has no desire to ever step on stage or to necessarily eat my prep food, but he'll eat like simple food. He's a very like steak, potato guy, you know? So, but I will say like when you're in prep and you are, let's say you want to go on a date with your boyfriend or significant other, like it can be easier than you think. Like, again, communicate with your coach. Maybe you can have like steak and veggies where you go. That's okay. Maybe if you can't have those things because you're so close to your stage, there are a million other things that you can do nowadays in cities that don't have anything to do with food. Like you guys can cook together, have your food together, and then go do like all the fun stuff. Like there's escape rooms, mini golf, bowling, pickleball. There's like millions of things now to like active to do in the city. So there's that. And then also like cook at home together. It is fun. Like he cooks like my protein and I'll cook some sides. And if it's a date night, I'll cook some like extra fancier sides for him that I may not be able to eat. Like I made homemade mashed potatoes the other day, like things that he want, like, and then you can still have them together, eat together, have some music playing and some candles and be homey. It's cute. It's like really, it's very doable, I will say, to go on dates and celebrate and spend time with, your person, even a new person. Like you can communicate with them and talk to them and be like, I just eat a certain way. I live my life a certain way. You have boundaries, which is really respectful if you're on a date. Like if you're dating somebody and you set boundaries, like they know to respect those boundaries, and it like is good expectation to have. So that's really my thoughts about it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a date night is, a romantic evening is like traditionally sort of like
Mm.
going out, dressing up, going to dinner and whatnot. And so that does get a little bit more challenging in prep because also you're tired, like maybe you don't want to stay out late. But we've always found like fun things to do. Like, like I said, we love going out for drives in the Jeep. We don't have to end up at a winery. We can go on a hike. There's plenty of great places to go hiking. And he benefits. Like when I'm in prep, like, we save a lot of money on going out to eat and like he eats better because we're not going out, and having, dinner and whatnot. So I think like, you just have to get creative and really like if you want to have a healthy lifestyle, then you should be finding other things to do that don't revolve around food anyways. But it is sort of common. It's like, oh, let's all get together. Like, when couples get together, it's normal to go out to eat. But, if you are really, kind of struggling with, maybe you're a really social person, you just have to have some sort of say over where you go. Like if everyone's going to go out to eat and if you're maybe allowed to input your suggestion as to where you can go because you can get, something that's very close to what's on your plan. But I mean, I think that is just one thing that makes it hard for people is trying to juggle socializing and doing it this way because you get in the nitty gritty of prep and it does get harder to go out to restaurants because you've got to measure everything. You have to watch your sodium. And if you're not preparing your food, then, that isn't going to be ideal. So there does come a time for me where we kind of cut those things off where I don't go because I just can't have those variables, but it's such a short window and we do that kind of stuff all year round. So, and that's what off season's for, to be able to do that. But even in off season, I'm not going and like pigging out and going and eating all this food. Like I'm still making good choices all the time anyway. So it's not like my prep lifestyle is like any different than like my like regular lifestyle. It's all year round. Right. So, but we like to be active. I think
Yeah.
that's important. Yeah.
Yeah. And like if you communicate, I just can't emphasize that enough because I had to make a really hard decision my last show. I was going into peak week and it was my friend's husband's birthday. There's a couple of us, like we all do coupley things together. And it was her husband's birthday and he wanted to go to this nice but heavy Italian restaurant there, and I was in peak week. And there was other things that they were also going to do and just different things going on, but like they were having a big group dinner and there was nothing. Like this is a very heavy Italian restaurant, like home style, family style. And I had to tell her. It was like on a Wednesday too, like before your show on Saturday. And
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
like, I can't come. Like I can't. Like I just and I felt so bad, but like it's a short window. Like my friends know me, they know my boundaries, they know how I am. She of course understood, but like I totally have been in the trenches just like all you listeners like listening to us thinking like it's hard. Like it's very hard to be able to turn down things that you may want to go to, but there's no way that it's gonna work with your goals and your focus, and it's gonna hurt it. And you gotta stand those grounds and say, I'm so sorry. I can't go.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go. And I didn't go. And of course they understood. But yeah, like you said, there's off season for that, and there's times and places for that. So you just gotta have your boundaries.
It's all about sacrifices and you just have to choose. And if that is something that you'd rather do, then maybe this isn't for you. Like you have to think about what makes you happy and what you really enjoy. And if that fills your cup and that is what you want to do, then, maybe you take longer breaks, you do all those things, and then, you prep for shows. But for me, I think just in the season of life that I'm in, like, I think also with having the kids, like, a lot of our socializing is like around kid stuff, like go to the varsity football game with the kids, like, and, we're not usually drinking. So, like, it kind of is like, it's that place where we're in that sort of time in our life. Now, I don't know if that's going to be different when we're empty nesters, like, and maybe people our age are kind of all going out all the time. That might be different for us, but like right now it seems to work for us because we're just so busy with kids anyways. Like, we honestly, people don't invite us anywhere anymore because we've said no so many times, like there's like several really awesome Christmas parties in St. Louis. They always fall on a school night. We can never go. And they're always like these big, like ritzy, amazing parties every year. We're like, no, we can't. We got cheer, we got soccer, we got volleyball. Brian's working till 6. Like, we can't make it. We just can't. So, so I think it just, I don't know, the prep life sort of suits my life right now. So yeah. Anyways, it's a long answer, but
Yeah.
I think we
I
covered
know.
it
I
all.
have those friends. I know. It's funny though, because I have like, my friends are like that too. Only it comes like it's nighttime. So I have a few friends that are nighttime couples, and they're kind of empty nesters. So like they go out really late, and we'll do like, it's crazy to me because we'll go to dinner, and then I'm going home to go to bed.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, no, we got a comedy show. We have this and this, and I'm like, how? Like, how? But I get it. I totally get it. So
Yeah.
yeah. I feel, yeah, that was the long answer, but that's life.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah. It is something that people struggle with, though. So I'm glad that we kind of went like a deep dive on that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question. Meal plan or macros? What is best for prep? And I'm going to let you start, Mandy, with this one.
So I personally have always done a plan. I've always worked with coaches that have done a plan. I like, for prep plans, I personally like this because you want to control all the variables. And when you have a client that's on a plan for prep, for, you have 24, 12, 6, 8, 5, 10 weeks left, whatever it be, you can control all the variables by knowing exactly what they're eating and where they're getting their nutrients from. If all of a sudden they start having gut issues, problem, whatever the issues, fatigue, brain fog, it's more than normal. If you are on a plan, you can kind of take a look at everything and start doing the process of elimination and have more of an insight and just have more control. That is where I think with a prep now, or yeah, when you're on prep, is a plan. Now, I have seen macro plans. I have seen them be successful in prep, and that's great. That's works for some coaches. It works for some clients. I think having a macro plan is great when you're in your improvement season, so you have a lot more flexibility, a lot more fluidity, and you have more freedom, of course. And you can use those macros, move them around, see different things you like, see how you like to eat. You're not so strict. But as for prep, I really would always prefer a plan. That's my answer. What about you?
Yeah, same for me. I think meal plans work better. I think as an athlete, I prefer them. As a coach, I prefer them because it just allows me to make manipulations and identify when somebody is like maybe not digesting something well. But I think having the client input's really important. Like with my coach, like with how he does a meal plan, like we have a food swap table. So like if he says rice, then you can see the equivalent of what it would be if you wanted to use another carb source. Which I think is great because I don't find that my body responds well to too much variety. I think my body does really well when I'm eating a lot of the same foods, and variety to a certain degree, so that I am, making sure that I'm hitting all of the vitamins and minerals that I need to. But I think it just like tends to work better. And I've done macros before. I've had several coaches that just send you macros, and I'm a coach and do this full time. And still I'm like, ooh, how do I like manipulate this measurement to get myself to this many carbs, or like they'll like manipulate something when you do your check-in, and then you're like playing with my fitness pal and you're taking something away and you're like, oh, I can only have 17 grams of this and like 24 grams of this. Like it just is really tough. I think macros is a lot harder than people think. Like sure, you have the freedom, but like also if you don't spend your macros wisely, you could eat a ton of carbs in the morning, like things that don't fill you up, and then you have nothing left for the rest of the day because you already spent all your carbs, and then you're hungry. And then also that's not great for getting the results that you want, because we know like a nice sustained, steady blood sugar is really important for, your metabolism, for fat loss, all those things. So I don't know that it's as straightforward as like just eat these macros. Like I think we've got to think about, there's a percentage of your fuel that needs to be around workouts, and nutrient timing is important. So I don't know how you do that with a macro plan if you're just like, go ahead and eat 135 carbs and 45 fats and whatever. I just think it's too hard. Also, like my fitness pal, I've had several clients that just will not give it up. And I'm like, just stop. Like, you don't need it. I give you a meal plan. I would just like to track it. I just like to know. I'm like, okay, whatever. And they're always like, you're wrong. Like they put my meal plan in and they're like, it's not adding up. I'm like, okay, well, give me your password. And I go in and
Yeah.
they have tracked it wrong. They've tracked the wrong rice. They put the wrong measurement. They didn't use the dry measurement. They used a cooked measurement. I'm like, see, this is really stupid, because now we've wasted all this time. And if you just follow the meal plan, you're going to hit your macros. I promise, So I think there's too much room for error, honestly.
Well, and it's a huge yeah. Yeah. It's like right now, like I have a plan I follow. I love my plan. It's funny you bring up my fitness pal, because I was actually messing with it the other day, and I was just like plugging in my food, and I was like, this is hard. Like I get it. I totally get people like to keep track of it, but it is like I can easily say I'm an expert at my food. Obviously, I've done this for like 10 years now. So like when I know I'm plugging in the right things, and I'm like, this doesn't match, or they don't have this brand, or they don't have this, and I'm like, this is mentally like annoying, and it's annoying because I know better. Imagine if you're somebody that doesn't know better. You're going to question all of it. You're going to be like, well, what if she's wrong? Or what if you're just going to mentally exhaust yourself? You're going to get stressed out. And guess what? Stress is terrible for you. So like and then of course on the pro side, macros can be very nice if like you have the experience to be able to kind of use them. You talk to your coach on how to use them, how you want to use them. You're in the off season. It's not so, critical. You can kind of play around a little bit. I just think in prep, it's very important to control as many things as you possibly can. So,
Agree.
and so speaking of off-season preps and plans, another thing that we see, in prep and not in prep, and is very common in our society, is alcohol.
Yes.
So, so do you want to touch on that first?
Okay, well, yeah, one question that I do get a lot from like new clients is like, can I drink on prep? Can I drink when I'm trying to build muscle? And I mean, you shouldn't. Like, I don't like to say never, but I feel like if you don't, you have to exercise some responsibility when it comes to that. Just knowing that when you drink alcohol, your sleep will be impaired. It's not going to be great. It won't be as optimal as if you didn't have alcohol. People say it makes you fall asleep. It makes you sleep terrible. It really does. I have one of these things, these like aura rings, and when you drink alcohol, your body temperature is higher, your heart rate at rest is higher, you move more at night, you don't get in a deep REM sleep. So it's not great for recovery. And it's also just like a useless macro. It's a macro that like, it doesn't, like, alcohol is its own macro. Like, you have proteins, fats, carbs, and then alcohol. It like doesn't fit in any category. Like, there's ways to track it, which we won't go into because we're not pro macro tracking here. But like, it's just a useless macro. It doesn't do anything for what we want as athletes. Now, serves a purpose if you're socializing and you're enjoying your friends and every once in a great while, but I just think if you are serious about this, you have to work on your relationship with alcohol, and it really has to go, because I just think that it makes it really hard to make any progress. It also, as you get older, like it can manipulate or it can mess with your hormones. And we don't need anything else messing with our hormones as we're in perimenopause. You know, alcohol is just, there's a lot of things about it. But for some people, it's really difficult to give up because it's such a part of their, you know, just like, oh, you've had a bad day. Let's have a glass of wine tonight when you come home from work. Or like, let's meet for a glass of wine, or it's happy hour, right? And these are all like social things. And you just have to change that behavior and find something
So,
else.
hmm
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it's everywhere. So I went what I went about like 3 years without drinking alcohol, and I'm just now having sips here and there, and mainly just because it's social and it looks good, it sounds good, and I never gave up alcohol because I had a drinking problem by any means. It really was just one day I felt like shit. I had a shitty night, like the night like was just not good. The sleep was like, it was just all shitty, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I literally quit for 3 years. But that's my personality. I'm able to do that. I've kind of noticed that for everything I've done. If I want to start prep, I'll start prep. If I want to quit something, I'll quit something. But it is ridiculous how just ingrained it is. And you start realizing it after you quit drinking, obviously. Like if you go a long period without drinking, you start noticing TV, movies, advertisements, feel better, drink, have a shitty day, drink, celebration, drink, 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 drink. It's always alcohol. Like it's always, oh, moms, don't you want wine day? Don't you want this? Don't you want that? And I'm glad that you said it. Like for people that really don't know this, it is its own macronutrient. Our body doesn't want alcohol inside of us. It wants to get it out. So everything that, as soon as you drink, your body is immediately like, get out of me. So it's not digesting well. You're not processing your other macronutrients. Your body is just doing everything it can to get it out of you. So that's like, it just, your progress is always going to be hindered by that. But like you said, like you're going to have moments of like, oh, this is kind of like quality time or celebration or moments of it. It's just working on your relationship with alcohol is just as important as working on it with food. Finding that balance and finding that time and communicating, because if your spouse also drinks or like your circle of friends are heavy drinkers, there's a lot of, I don't even want to talk about mocktails unless you make it yourself, because if bars make you mocktails, always so sugary. They're so sugary. But you can always make mocktails at home and have drinks out. That's what I did for a long time. I would make like all sorts of different fun mocktails for Aaron and I for a really long time. But it's just really, really important not to, overindulge.
I think like I'm certainly like I would never like make anybody feel bad about drinking because I am not like an extreme person. Like I don't have like rules for myself. So like I mean I had wine on Friday night. Like I'm gonna toast somebody. One of my best friends opened a beautiful salon. We had champagne. Like I'm gonna do those things. I'm not in prep right now, and I'm in prep. Absolutely, that does not happen. And but it has really changed for me because like during the pandemic, I mean, it was real loosey goosey there about like what we had nothing else to do, and so we would just drink wine. And I do really enjoy it, but I hate the way it makes me feel. So I think I've leaned into I hate the way it makes me feel. I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to make another choice. But I think it's also like, okay, we like it, but also we're medicating. We are. Like, if we've had a bad day and we drink a glass of wine, what are we doing? Aren't we just kind of putting a Band-Aid on the bad day? And this is exactly what you would expect a fitness chick to say. Go for a walk. But like, it's true. Like, I don't mean to be like that. Like, I'm a bikini pro. So like, I do all the perfect fitness things now. No, I get it. Sister, I've done it. I've opened the ice cream and drank the wine and watched Bridget Jones' Diary in my freaking pajamas because I was fucking depressed. Okay. I've been there, but I'm telling you, if you just make a different choice, you will feel better. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm old and wise now. I've lived the life, right? But I just think that at the end of the day, when I'm going to make that choice, if I'm like, oh, I could pour, I mean, we have wine in the house all the time. I could pour a glass of wine right now, but I really think about it and I go, but I got a good workout plan tomorrow, and you haven't really set my show plans yet, and I really want to get a good night's sleep, and I don't want to, my stomach is kind of iffy, and then I've talked myself out of it, and I just do something else, and then I'm over it. But it's the same with any other substance, like it's weed or whatever it is that people do. Like we've just become a society that we medicate everything, and so that's where it that's taking a tangent. Obviously, we're started kind of talking about socializing, but I mean, if you're drinking it at home on a Tuesday night we got to find something else for you to do with your feelings and your emotions, or drink like a sparkling water out of your wine glass. And if you can't, then you got to work on your relationship with alcohol. You really do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're an alcoholic, and I'm not saying you have to go dry. Maybe you go damp. I don't know. But if you're drinking during the week by yourself, or you're like, oh, my cat's here, so I'm not drinking by myself, then it's something you really need to kind of work on. There is a delay, everybody. We are trying to work through this technical issue that we have. So like my joke landed a bit flat, but then she laughed. So there we go. You're laughing now. It's okay. We're going to figure this out. We need to get on the help desk after this episode and figure out the delay. We'll figure it out because we got some really good guests coming up, and we don't want to screw it up because we got some. I was thinking we should tell everybody today, but then I don't want to ruin the surprise of who we have coming up.
No, keep it a surprise.
Okay.
Keep it a surprise.
I will.
Or if you guys are following us on Instagram, we might drop it in our stories here, that if we have like our guest lineup, that we might.
Excited.
So keep an eye out on our stories. That might be a good. Yeah.
Can I give a hint?
So
I like to give hints. Can I give a hint, please, Mom?
Sure.
Okay, so.
Oh my God.
We have like 6 guests lined up. One of them is an Olympian and is expecting a child. That's all I'm going to say.
It'll be so exciting.
So great. Bikinis after
wait.
babies, but the baby's not out yet. So it's going to be so exciting. I can't wait.
Bikinis during baby, during pregnant, during
bikinis on babies.
Yeah. Make sure. So we just got done talking about so holidays, snacking, booze. So after you do all of this, you always feel bloated. That is another big thing that people always talk about in our as lifestyle clients trying to lose weight, or competitors always feeling bloated. So I feel like the word bloated is like an umbrella term for so many things, because are you bloated because of something you ate? Are you bloated because you drank too much alcohol? Are you on a perfect diet for several weeks and everything's great, and all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're like bloated? So that's another, very common one we have with check-ins with both of our clients. So I personally like to tackle this by kind of doing what we talked about with, following a plan. Let's start dissecting what's going on. Like, has everything been perfect? Is everything on point? No changes with your supplements, vitamins, no changes with your stress, anything. You go through all those things, because all of those things can disrupt your digestion, which will cause bloating. Are you overly stressed this week because something happened at work? Your digestion might slow down, so therefore you might not process food so well. It might cause some distension. That could be a cause. What if, you're on your cycle? That's going to have cause bloating. If you decided to switch up some vegetables, the vegetable you might try could cause some bloating, that discomfort, that feeling. And you kind of just need to figure out the cause and the root of the problem and start kind of dissecting how to find the solution to that. Don't overreact. Don't get too stressed. Stressing will make it worse, and try to figure that out. So that's always my experience with it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that women talk about a lot. I kind of just, when I'm assessing if a client is like struggling with this sort of like chronically, if it's something that keeps coming up, if I talk to somebody like before they even sign up and they're like, and I feel like I'm bloated all the time, then like a lot of times just straightening out their diet, getting them on more water, removing a lot of processed foods, getting more activity regularly, increasing their vegetables, like just getting more of a clean diet. If that doesn't take care of it, then we kind of try to dive deeper. But you wouldn't believe how many people are like, I was pretty sure it was gluten, so I just stopped eating gluten. It's like almost never that. Or like it was dairy. And I'm like, well, I will say a lot of adults cannot process cow's milk, but like Greek yogurt and other like, hard cheeses that are like, is it pasteurized? Like those are going to be, we can break those down as adults much easier than like cow's milk. But yeah, I mean, I think really just kind of getting into the rest and digest, where if somebody is always stressed and they're like a, person that's kind of always freaking out all the time, and they have these big like swings of emotions, like they don't get into that rest and digest, like that parasympathetic state, to where like the digestion flows. Like we have yards and yards of colon and with all kinds of nerve tissue. And, you know, if that gets impaired in any way because you're freaking out all the time, yeah, you're going to be bloated. So I talk to a lot of people about that. And sometimes we have to do like stress techniques to try to like manage that. But also in a prep, when your calories start to decrease, and I've seen, you know, some real low diets out there in the national scene. And I mean, at the amateur level, you know, beginner level too. I mean, when your calories are really, really low, your digestion does slow down. It just does. If it happens for too long, you can run into some issues. So just make sure that you're communicating with your coach. And I think this goes back to where meal plans are really helpful, because if you're eating the same thing every day and you've got the timing of food, you can easily identify what time you get bloated. I mean, I did it last week. I was like, I keep getting bloated like in the afternoon. I was like, I know it's something in my lunch. Like it has to be. And I figured out what it was and I just took it out. So, you know, it's as simple as that if you're following a diet. But some people get bloated from like chewing gum or artificial sweeteners or what they put in their coffee. Like when you are sort of eating a lot of the same things, you can kind of pinpoint those patterns. So don't go crazy and start pulling everything and take all this stuff you see on the internet. Because I mean, as soon as you listen to this episode, you're going to see ads for bloating pills, right? Because that's just how it works. But you know, stay off of that stuff because it's a Band-Aid. You know, you're not addressing the root cause of what's causing the bloating. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So absolutely. I will say I don't know. I weirdly I don't know. I just don't get bloated that much. When I get bloated, it's usually my cycle, and I am like I feel like a 200-pound man.
Yeah. Not even a woman, a man.
No, man, thick. I feel thick.
Oh, that's a bad feeling. I've had my share of struggles. Thing. Oh, okay. One more thing. Oh, that's a big one though. Are we doing the big one that you saved till last? The last question.
I don't think we have time for the big one.
No. Okay. Well, maybe we should at least bring it up.
Okay. We'll talk about it for a few minutes.
Okay.
Let's raise my hand.
Go ahead.
Our delay of like.
I know we got to fix it.
So I'm like, all you listeners will work on our delay. We will apologize for it. So, the biggest thing I think we all hear constantly, no matter you're a newcomer or not, but is PEDs. Oh, the world of PEDs. So I will say I am not a PED expert. I am not a doctor. But obviously Gillian and I are both in the industry. We hear this, see this, you know, it is a part of our industry. But I will personally say, out of all the shows I have expedited backstage, you know, working NPC shows, you know, I hear so many times, so many people that are getting into, you know, NPC, getting into bodybuilding, and of course we're talking about females, and they just are like, I have to, like, I don't know how I'm going to do this without, you know, being a natural athlete. And and these beginners, like, they have nothing to worry about. Like, when you are on an amateur level and you are a first-time competitor, second, third, fourth, fifth, and you're at that NPC beginner level, like, this is not something that really needs to enter your head. Like, what needs to enter your head is your perfect diet and your perfect training, and that, and working on that, and focusing there. You're not going to go backstage at your first show and see all these, like, this craziness that you think you're going to see, because I don't know how many shows I've been to now where a true novice wins the whole category. Yeah. And those are babies, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's, when you're starting out, your focus needs to be food, training, off season, on season, food, training. Mm-hmm. Like, it really does. So I definitely want to emphasize that. So what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've talked about this, like, probably since like episode 10. Like, are we going to do an episode about this? Because it is something that, people ask me
Mm-hmm.
about it all the time. Like I do all of like the
Mm-hmm.
discovery calls for our prospective Momshell clients, and I would say more than half of them ask me if we're going to put them on PEDs because they've heard that everyone who does bikini is on PEDs. And I'm like, where have you heard that from? Like that, I feel like that, and maybe I'm just naive in that I feel like at the, local level, it's not as prevalent in the bikini division, but I mean, maybe that's just because that's what we keep our athletes away from that stuff. But I think also I hear people who are like, I would never do that. Like, you can die from it. And I'm like, well, that's not really true either. Like, there's just a lot of misinformation. And thankfully, we have
Yeah.
wonderful people that are now sharing good information. And there for a long time there was none.
Mm-hmm.
And you just had to, like, you know, you just heard stuff, or people are talking about their cycles, and you're just like, what is that? Like, isn't that bad? Like, can't you go to jail? Like, there's just no information, and I think that was a real problem. So, but I also think people are legally trying to watch themselves when they share this information, but now there's a lot. Corey Hagman is a wonderful resource. She has a YouTube, she has an Instagram, and she just shoots it straight. I mean, she tells the truth. She talks about what's necessary, but well, I mean, what's necessary as far as like what needs to be in place prior to ever thinking about doing something like this. So, why I wanted to bring it up is because I don't like the misconception that it's a requirement to compete, is something that really conflicts with a lot of people's values. A lot of people view it as cheating, a lot of people view it as unhealthy, and originally you come into the sport with the desire to be fit and healthy, right? So I can see the moral dilemma that a lot of people have with it, but I don't like that that's the impression of our sport, because really at the root of it, you've got to, like you said, you've got to eat well, you've got to fuel your body, you've got to train hard, and you've got to do it for a while. You can't just do it for 1 year and go, well, I didn't put on any muscle. Where's the steroids at? Like, that's not the answer. That's like that cake analogy, right? Like, you've got a cake, you bake it in the oven at 425 for 40 minutes. Are you going to put it in the oven at 600 degrees for 20 minutes? Like, you cannot rush the process. And really, you could take steroids and not look better because you don't have good training in place and you haven't taken care of yourself. And if you don't take care of your body and your health, and you're on top of your lab work, and everything's going on your body, you put that stuff on in place, it's not a good deal at all. So we really need to have an expert on, though, because it's hard to talk about it without having like really great information. And I don't want
Yeah.
to, I want people to be educated and informed, so they can make the best decision for themselves. So,
Mm-hmm. Corey also has a podcast. I saw that.
yeah, tons of great
So
information.
it would
And I started listening to some of them because I was just like, wow, this is like a really big category. Like, PEDs covers not
Mhm.
only like anabolic steroids, but it also covers like estrogen blockers, fat burners, thyroid support, those things, which I think they're under like the category of AAS. And then also like SARMs is considered some of that. So Ostrin and those things as well. So like there's a big, it's a big category of things. So I think that it's a huge topic, and I think that there's a lot of people getting bad information. There's a lot of new competitors jumping on it way too soon without having like done a growth phase and like, tried to do things in a way that was safe and healthy for their body, instead just like, no, I'm going straight to that. And if you want to have a baby one day, like, taking care of your hormones is really important, and these things do manipulate your hormones. But by the same token, I'm certainly not saying that prep without PEDs is just as safe, because you can never take a PED and run your body into the ground and mess up your hormones by, not listening to your body, pushing too far, under eating, malnourishing yourself, over exercising. Like, this sport is hard, and PEDs can be hard, and also prep without PEDs can be hard on your body too. So I think it's just like it's a lot to go into, and I think that people just really need to do their research. But I want to do away with that statement of like just sort of like the impression that, you know, somebody who's lean and muscular, well, the only way they got there was with PEDs. Like, no, they probably put in a lot of time. I know so many
Yeah.
athletic fit women at gyms that have never touched the stuff and they look freaking amazing, you know? So that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, and something I don't think we realize, yeah, I think something we don't realize as a society too is women haven't been weightlifting that long. So think about it. Like I've put some thought into this. I want to see if I can put it into proper words. If you think about it, women and weightlifting, we didn't do it as long as men. So like the way that women look muscularly now, like even if or lean, even if people look at them and they're like, "Oh, there must be steroids." It's like, "No, that's just like not something that women have been doing for a very, very long time. So we don't have anything to go off of. So it's not like, 100 years ago, women were heavy weightlifting and like watching what they eat and making sure, they were the best, healthiest versions of themselves. We don't know what that looked like because that didn't exist. And now that it exists, just because it exists and it looks a certain way, you're pointing the finger and saying it's drugs. It's like, no, that's just a lot of, years of weightlifting, eating proper protein, proper nutrients, and you don't have this disgusting amount of body fat. Be real. It is a disgusting amount of body fat. If you Google like the average size of a woman now, like all the ages, it's an overweight amount. So that's what society is used to seeing. That's what society is ingrained on seeing, where now they see a fit, lean person. Oh, it's drugs. It's like, no, it's just a different lifestyle,
And we have like so much more like
that always
sophisticated research. We have supplements. Like, I mean, even like 20 years ago when I started bodybuilding, like there was like, not a lot to choose from when it came to supplements and certain things that help with muscle building. Like even creatine were really expensive. Now these things are more readily available. There's tons of information at our fingertips. So in theory, we should be getting fitter and stronger and faster, right? But of course, everybody wants everything fast. Everybody wants results quickly. And I don't know what the hurry is really, because it's quite dangerous, and some of these things have long-term effects. So, but yeah, I think as a society, it's weird. Like the fit seem to be getting fitter, and then the fat seem to be getting fatter. So, I don't know what it's going to look like in a few years. I guess we'll see. But
see.
Yeah,
Let's see.
all right. So we're at an hour. We
did. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to us. We hope that you can take something away from all the tidbits that we shared. And of course, always remember that Gillian and I do lifestyle and prep coaching, as well as virtual and in-person posing classes in Kansas City and in Missouri, oh my God, St. Louis. So always feel free to reach out to us, have any questions, or if you'd like to hear something on this podcast, always just let us know. We're always an open book, and, we'll talk about anything. So thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.